Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome along to Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's a tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. It's a Tuesday afternoon, which means one thing. I speak to the senior ATP Tour handicapper for Because We Win, Sean Calvert, about tomorrow's matches in the three this week ATP Tour events. We're only talking about two, though, Sean, but how's the early part of your week, B? Did you watch the Super Bowl? Did you watch Taylor Swift? Did you see it?
No, and no, I think is the answer to that.
Right.
It's on way too late for me anyway. It's on about 3 o'clock in the morning, isn't it? It's not ridiculous.
I thought you'd be a big Usher fan, like for the halftime show.
I'm not staying up till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to watch a 47-year-old Usher do his dance routine. That's for sure. No, funnily, I did see it like a bit of the highlights on the sports news channel. I did not recognise Taylor Swift at all, to be honest. So if you'd have given me that lineup last week, I probably would have got it wrong. So there you go. No Taylor Swift knowledge, very little Super Bowl knowledge. That's all I can say to you.
Do you know, I read somewhere today, it was the second most watched TV event in history behind the man landed on the moon.
Really?
Yeah. This is just a worldwide global audience was the second most.
How come this one was so big?
I think the Taylor Swift factor has a big part of it. And obviously,
who's tuning in to watch her? She's not playing. She's just stuck there.
Swifties.
There's only one Swift in my world. That's John Swift. I'm not concerned about it. You wouldn't tune in to watch somebody watching a game of sport, would you? That's a bit weird.
She's the second most famous person name with the first name is Taylor Fritz, obviously in our world.
Well, we'll talk about him later. I know a lot more about Taylor Fritz than I do about Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah. So he's the only Taylor we will talk about on this show. If we can get a fraction of the TV audience, that'll be great for us. But if you
there's no Taylor Swift, is there? She's not sat there over there in the corner watching. That's not happening.
Might be able to get Sonia or some other kind of
Sonia.
I
don't think many people under the age of about 50 in Britain are gonna know who she is, to be honest.
Well, Google Sonia. Not many people will know who she is, but I'm sure we can. Or someone from sort of a 90s band that needs 90s female singing, we might be able to get her endorsed who likes tennis. When you go to Wimbledon, there's usually some famous places at Wimbledon, isn't there?
I wouldn't know. I've not been to Wimbledon for some considerable time. I'm usually in a state of high anxiety and annoyance when I'm at Wimbledon, so I don't normally have time to do star spotting, to be honest with you.
Well, I saw Tom Holland at Wimbledon once. Do you know who he is?
Until if you'd have asked me that question about 2 or 3 months ago, I would have said I've got absolutely no idea who you're talking about. But Lagan watched one of the Spider-Man movies. It must be one of the relatively recent ones, and Natasha's a bit of a TV and movies buff. She knows all that stuff.
Yep.
And I said, "Who's this?" I said, "Who's this kid playing Spider-Man?" I never would know idea who that is. And she said, "Oh, it's Tom Holland." I said, "Who?" Yep. So I've only heard of him relatively recently. If it hadn't been for that incident, I would not have heard of him at all. No.
Well, I know a few things about Spider-Man. Do you want to hear my little interesting things about Spider-Man before we go?
Yeah, go on then.
His dad, Dom Holland, and his brother, Paddy Holland, was in the same class as my boy Harry at school. Well, his brother. So Paddy Holland was one of Harry's best friends.
Is that right?
Yeah, and they went to a Catholic school in Kingston. They're from Kingston. And they went to a school, and now his younger brother would be the same age as Harry, 18. And they were friends from 11 to 18. And his dad, I used to go and watch football, watch Harry play football, and he used to stand on the sidelines. His dad's a very famous comedian. If you Google his dad, you'll know him when you see him. And the other thing, he was born in Kingston, where I'm from. And the other thing, one of our subscribers and one of our people who follows everything we do here, because we win, is a good friend of mine called Isle19. He's like Mike Barberi. Give him a shout out, Mike. Hello, Mike. He just become a grandfather. Hello, Mike. His son, Mikey, was in Spider-Man movie as well. So.
There you go.
So Spider-Man,
sitting there watching it with none of this knowledge whatsoever, and not really knowing who Tom Holland was. But now I know. I feel suitably clued up now.
Well, the link I was giving there, Holland, is obviously where we're going for the first match. Is in Rotterdam, in Holland, in the Netherlands. So
yes.
And obviously Taylor Swift. We're talking about Taylor Fritz. So there was a common link there. Really, we're going to talk about those in a minute. So
it's a little convoluted, but yeah, let's go.
We got there in the end. I couldn't find any Tom relevance. Let's have a look at the matches we're going to talk about tomorrow over in Rotterdam. It's the ABN AMRO tournament that Sean was at last year. He obviously complained about the merch. I don't know if the ladies did a job, but I don't.
She ought not to be, really. I mean, if you can't even produce merch when you've got the same T-shirts for all the ball kids, there's something wrong there.
Well, hopefully, we can't be sort of asking people to be fired from their jobs. But if she isn't in a job, hopefully she's doing well, and she might be sort of customer service somewhere else. Sure, you never know, do you? She could turn up when you turn up in. She
wasn't customer service.
World,
she was in marketing. I just think it's not great marketing, is it? If you're not getting your brand out there on people wearing t-shirts. I'm not an expert in marketing, but that doesn't seem like the right thing to me.
Not like that, because we win team. We're busy very, very hard producing t-shirts for you. So if you need any t-shirts, we've got some competitions coming your way, which we're going to be giving away
t-shirts. I've not got them yet, by the way. They've not arrived yet.
They should have arrived ages ago.
No, I told you the post was dodgy around here. It's not had anything yet.
I sent them about a week ago.
I know. It takes ages for the post to arrive here.
Should I be worried about that? Because he's got, or is that the norm?
It's not abnormal. Let's say that.
That's incredible. Everyone else got them the next day.
Not me.
There was a bag for Lagan and t-shirt. Oh, anyway. Okay, well, we'll have to talk about the British Mail. There's something to complain about in a minute. I'm surprised you. Anyway, let's move on to the matches tomorrow in Rotterdam. We have had some action already. What do you think? Is it sort of playing up to what you expected here?
Yeah, it looked pretty slow. I suffered through Talon Grigor against Musetti last night for some considerable time, and he did well to win it in the end, didn't he, Grigor? But it just looks a difficult court to hit through to me, unless you've got extreme power. Musetti was pretty comfortable. He wasn't that rushed. It's just these slow Technifiber balls. They still play with these Technifiber balls here, the X1s. They're slow. It's a strange noise they make coming off the strings. I'm not wild on it at all. It just seems to me like a medium slow at best condition, particularly on the centre court. I haven't seen much of the outside courts yet. They're normally a little bit quicker, but for me, this is a court which is not that easy to hit through.
If you haven't watched Sunday's show, we gave some first round bets. They're not in action yet. We still had one of them's a little bit later on. Hopefully today you may be able to see it, or it's tomorrow actually. Rusevori against Humbert. So you better, if you haven't seen the first show, watch the first show as a pick there. So we got some.
That's on the first match. That's the first match on tomorrow.
First match, which is 5 a.m. Eastern time. So you're going to be nice and early. We've got a match at 5 a.m. tomorrow Eastern time in Rusevori at Humbert. But that's on Sunday. That was on Sunday's show. So check that out if you haven't seen it. But today we're going to look at 3 matches here in Rotterdam. The first match we're going to look at is the number 1 seed and the tournament favourite and the current Australian Open champion. All eyes have been on him. He's been here since Saturday, and that is Jannik Sinner. Very surprised he's turned up on Saturday, and his first round match isn't until Wednesday. He's been practicing hard on the practice courts, and he's a very, very heavy favourite against Botic van der Zandschulp, who's obviously a Dutchman playing in Holland. Minus 1,115 is the price for Jannik Sinner. So if you don't really understand American odds, what that means is you've got to put $1,115 on, or pounds on, whichever you are, to win 100. Which shows you a very heavy favourite he is. Van der Zandschulp is plus 650. The spread here is 5.5. Sinner giving up 5.5 is plus 117. Botic plus 5.5 is minus 152. And the total here is 19.5. Now that is over minus 130 and under minus 19.5. Now, we know that Sinner's in form. We know his indoor record has been superb over the last year. But he's coming here with a lot of pressure. He's a major champion. A lot of players have come to these positions before and haven't been able to replicate the form we saw. This is his first match back since winning that title. A massive match against Medvedev, changed his life. And you've got a local lad here who's going to have some support. And it looks like it's set up that it might not be as easy as those odds suggest there.
Yeah, it's skinny, isn't it? It's a lot to ask for Sinner. You said yourself he's been here since Saturday. I bet he's had a ton of media stuff to do as the Australian Open champion. I bet he's been here, there, and everywhere promoting things and what have you. It's not easy. We've seen so many times to come from the conditions in Melbourne to here in Rotterdam. We've seen a lot of people struggle. Medvedev went out in the first round here a couple of years ago. I think he lost to Lajovic, didn't he? In the first round here a couple of years ago, Medvedev, when he come back from Australia. It's not, I think it's too easy just to say, oh yeah, Sinner will win this because he was playing great in the Australian Open. Well, yes, he was, but he's now got all the other stuff going on in his head as well, where people are constantly after him 24/7. He's now expected to win these sort of matches. I mean, these odds, what is he, 1 to 10 or whatever to win this?
1 to 11. On.
I think you have to take that price on in some way. He's not going to have the crowd with him this time, that's for sure. Van der Zandschulp will have the crowd with him. I was here last year actually watching Sinner in the first round. His first match last year was against Benjamin Bonds, and he dropped a set there. He ended up winning it in 3 sets in the end, but it just shows you it's not that easy to go from Melbourne to here. The conditions are very, very different. If you look at what Sinner's done in the last 12 months, in best of 3 set matches only. 53% of his matches have gone over 20.5 total games. Now, 53% is implied probability of 1.89 or minus 111. And we're getting with Bet Rivers plus money about the overs in something that he's done over 53% of the time. We know Van der Zandschulp's going to be highly motivated here. He should. This is Botic we're talking about. If you've not seen him play, he doesn't exude the greatest body language in the world, does he? He always looks like he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. He should be in good spirits after he won the deciding rubber in Davis Cup for the Netherlands a few weeks ago. And he's also played a match and won a match here, a really good one as well in the doubles, beat a top pair, Kravitz and Wets, last night, him and Robin Haase. So he's had a match here already. He's got nothing to lose here. He should, if he approaches this in the right way, which you never know with Van der Zandschulp, there's no pressure on him. You know, people don't expect him to beat Sinner. I think this is a good situation for him. If Van der Zandschulp had drawn somebody that he's expected to beat, I'd be tempted to back the other guy because of the mental situation. He's not good playing at home, Van der Zandschulp. I think he's 3-6 win-loss here at this particular tournament, and he's not done well in other tournaments in the Netherlands either. So even if this match goes the same way that it did in Melbourne for the first 2 sets, which was 6-4, 7-5 to Sinner, that still brings the over 20.5 games home, which, as I said, is a plus 110 chance of Bet Rivers. So I think there's a lot to like about the over games here.
Yeah, I like the over games here. I mean, you always, with Botic, you always got a chance of a tiebreak, haven't you? For a 7-5 set. He plays that kind of big serving.
He does. You would think he would play a lot of tiebreaks, but I remember doing a stats thing on him last year, and he doesn't play that many tiebreaks. I don't know why, but you only need one of the first 2 sets to go to 7-5, and you're pretty much home with this, really, aren't you? You know, if Sinner comes here and wins his 6-2, 6-3, you know, I'll take my hat off to him and say fair play, but I'm happy to take the chance at these odds that Van der Zandschulp will at least make him work hard.
Yeah, they have met once previously. It was on the way to the title, wasn't it? For Sinner.
It was this one, yeah. He went 6-4, 7-5, and then 6-3. So not a hammering. And you know, you would expect Van der Zandschulp to be up for this. He's very rarely up for anything. Van der Zandschulp, by the way, always looks, as I said, a bit disgruntled and generally not happy with things. But this should be a great situation for him in front of his home crowd, taking on the new darling, if you like, of men's tennis with nothing to lose. He should really, you know, relish this occasion.
And it is a big drop in levels, isn't it? I mean, you know, I can't sort of I emphasize so much about the drop down from someone who's won a major. You know, all the media attention and suddenly plays here in Rotterdam. It's a bit of a come down for him. So, you know, it
is in very different conditions as well. You know,
yeah, it's very. I agree with you. I mean, Sinner will probably win, and that's why he's such a heavy favourite. But
even 2-1 to Sinner, if you want a bigger price, that's interesting as well.
Or set one overs or something like that. It's, you know, there's 29 different markets available in this match for the Australian Open champion on his comeback against Botic van der Zandschulp. But the general consensus here from myself and Sean is that it's not going to be as easy as those odds suggest. Over total games, over 20.5 at plus money. Is that an official pick, Sean?
Yeah, I'll take that. I think that's the best of the props that are around today.
And Sinner might, you know, he's going to have to feel the pressure. So,
it's a night match this, by the way, 7:30 local time,
1:30 p.m. Eastern time. That match, it's the evening match. So, it's a couple of matches start early. As I said, 5 a.m. which start early. And one of those matches, which is first on call, is a match between 2 players who are struggling a little bit on current form and rankings, and that's Denis Shapovalov, who had to come through as a qualifier against Gael Monfils, who was a wild card. Shapovalov was dropped down to 127 in the world rankings for the Canadian, who was a career ranked high in the top 10 not so long ago. Massive drop down for Shapovalov. The odds here, Shapovalov is minus 175. Monfils is plus 138. The spread is 1.5, minus 137 for Shapovalov, receiving that 1.5. So giving up that 1.5 start. And Monfils receiving the start is plus 107. And the total here is 22.5. Both of these had injury problems, and Monfils is coming in with a little bit of an off-court issue as well, where he was disqualified from the last tournament he was at. The head-to-head's one win apiece. This is a tricky little match, really, to judge both of their players there. I think they're both fragile at the moment. But where do you see this one going?
It's a tough one to call this, isn't it? The 11 a.m. start. Did you see what Bublik had to say about his 11 a.m. start today, by the way?
No.
He seems he's off. His after his post match interview was all him moaning about having to be on court at 11. One of the things he said was, "Who starts work at 11 a.m.?"
Yeah, you don't. I know that. I know that.
I do on some occasions actually, and he wasn't like trying to be funny. He was like genuinely asking who starts work. Well, pretty much everybody, I think.
that's a late day for everybody. That's a late start. It's a
he
late.
Just kept going on and on and on about it, like it's some sort of outrage that he's been made to start at 11 o'clock. He said he was talking to his coach about pulling out, withdrawing because he didn't want to. He said I don't even. Nobody sees me before 10 a.m. anywhere ever.
Sounds like my son Harry.
Harry's got
11 a.m.'s an early.
He's got a teenager. He's kind of you sort of expect. This is supposed to be a professional sportsman. Anyway, 11 o'clock is when these two are supposedly on court. I'm pretty tempted with Monfils here as an underdog. I really am. I know it's I could see it burning me, but if we look at what they've done last 12 months at main level on all surfaces, their service points won and return points won totals. Shapovalov 98, Monfils 101, so a decent advantage there for Monfils. And he does have a fabulous record in this tournament, Gael Monfils. 75% win rate here in Rotterdam. And his service points won and return points won total is 104. I think perhaps one of the main reasons why Monfils has done so well here is because there's an awful lot of space behind the baseline for defenders to kind of work their magic, so to speak. I think that's one reason why Gael's done very well here. He likes to sit deep and soak up the pressure, if you want to call it that, from the other side of the net. I think that's a valid point. And one reason why he's done so well here. But I suppose the question is he fit? That's the problem. If this was a fit Monfils and we're getting, what is he, 2.4-ish?
Yeah, plus 138.
Yeah, I would, if I thought he was fit, I would certainly be taking that price. The problem is he's certainly at the end of his career now, isn't he? 37 years of age and a lot of injuries over the years. Looked to have a wrist injury in Montpellier when he faded away pretty tamely against Kaboli a few weeks ago. He played one match in the UTS exhibition that you mentioned before getting kicked out for an incident which I talked about the other day. I just think this is. I mean, Shapovalov's so inconsistent, isn't he? He's played Hugo Gaston 3 times in the past sort of few weeks. Won one, lost one, and the one that he won in qualities to get here was an injury to Gaston. So 2 wins for him, but that's Shapovalov all over. He hammered Gaston one week, played the same player the next week, and lost. So you can't. Shapovalov's just not done anything for me to be priced the way that he is. I think he's only been priced this way because people think that Monfils is injured. If I was betting in this match, I would most certainly take Monfils.
Yeah, Monfils is plus 138. He has only won one of his last 6 matches, and he has come from a qualification event that Sean mentioned there. Disqualification, sorry. And if you look at Shapovalov, he's come through qualifying. He's got 2 matches here, Marchier and Gaston. Obviously, Gaston was injured in that match, but at plus 138, Sean thinks that could be a little bit of value, but slight question mark about the fitness of the Frenchman coming into this match. And that is a 5 a.m. start. So that's one of the first matches on court, an early start. Bublik style, get on the court nice and early. 5 a.m. start and get your bets on nice early. Head to the Bet website.
Scheduled again for 11 o'clock. I really do. I love it.
That could be an angle for us if he's 11 o'clock start. Or if you see him again as an early start, you know that he's not up for it. So
I did know that anyway, to be honest. But the way that he went on about it today, it was just quite funny the way he wouldn't stop talking about it.
Final match we're going to speak about is Grigor Dimitrov. Obviously got to the final last week in Montpellier, got beaten by Hugo Humbert. Had a bit of a rest period, but he's up against Lorenzo Sonego, who's no mug, really. I'm quite surprised by the odds on this one. This is a 7 a.m. start in Rotterdam. Dimitrov is minus 480. Very, very strong favourite. Sonego plus 350. The spread here is 3.5. Dimitrov minus 3.5 is minus 139. Sonego plus 3.5 is plus 108. And the total here is also 22.5. Exactly the same as Shapovalov Monfils with over minus 105, under minus 126. Dimitrov obviously made the final last week. There is a tendency to look to fade players who have gone deep in a sort of a tournament like that and then come here. Not really much far to travel. He's been practicing today with Jannik Sinner. I saw him practicing today with Jannik Sinner. They're very close friends. He's becoming a popular play, Dimitrov. I mean, he's a public play. The public love him, and he's starting off at crazy prices. I'm scratching my head a little bit on this minus 480 price.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't back Dimitrov at that price against anybody in any situation. But he does have well, maybe not anybody, but you know what I mean. He has a very, very strong record here, does Grigor Dimitrov. Just looking at the first round of this tournament, he's 8-1 win-loss in round one of Rotterdam. The only time he's ever lost. Do you know the only time he ever lost was?
Probably against Federer or something.
Songa, Joe Wilfried Songa in 2011. He's the only person ever to beat Dimitrov in round one of Rotterdam. So, and only once in those 9 matches has the opening set gone over 10 games. So he's got a history of starting quickly here. I feel like the conditions, he probably won them a little bit quicker, but I think the court does take his slice pretty well here. That's one reason that he's had a lot of success. Grigor Dimitrov, his overall record in Rotterdam, 64% win rate and a service points won and return points won, total of 101. So it's somewhere he has enjoyed coming. It's somewhere he's come and hit the ground running pretty much every time. If we look at the last 12 months on indoor hard at main level, about to go back for 10 matches for Sonego because he only played 8 matches last year. So the recent history on this surface, service points won and return points won for Dimitrov, 105, which is impressive, and Sonego 99. Sonego's problem on indoor hard is that he doesn't break serve often enough. He's not winning enough return points. He's not breaking serve often enough. He's only broken serve 12.8% of the time on indoor hard in those 10 matches, Sonego. So that's a big problem for him. The fact that the pair have never met, you're never really sure how the matchup's going to go, but I feel like Dimitrov is going to win this with perhaps a little bit despair. I'm not sure it would be my sort of bet, but I feel like Dimitrov maybe minus 3.5 games is of interest here. As I say, it's not my sort of bet, but I just can't see Sonego on current form really doing a great deal against Dimitrov in these conditions on this court.
Yep, Dimitrov minus 480, Sonego plus 350. Very popular play with the bettors at the moment is a Dimitrov win. I just think it's a little bit too short. I think if you're going to play Dimitrov, you might get a little bit of value or bigger price in play. But obviously, look, Sean's done the stats there, and he tells you that Dimitrov in round one here is pretty much unbeatable, and he comes in under. So if he starts to get break up early, then that 480 is minus 3.5 is long gone. So Sean's done all the hard work, so I don't have to. Sean, talking of all the hard work and all the statistics, we've had a lot of questions and a lot of new subscribers have come on in the recent weeks and haven't been on our journey for the last couple of years on this tennis journey that we've had. And a lot of people are asking the same question: where does Sean get his stats? I tell him it's all in his brain. He's a walking encyclopedia of tennis knowledge, which we all know anyway.
Some of it's in my brain, not much.
Where do you get most of these stats? You tell us about the left hand, as you tell us all this time. Is there an official place where you go for all your information?
Some of this stuff you can get online for free on the ATP website or Tennis Abstract. Those sort of websites will give you a pretty good idea of all that sort of stuff. That the Dimitrov stuff that I just talked about there, a lot of that I got from On Court, which tells you how a player's done at certain tournaments. It's got a lot of breakdowns and a lot of drop down menus. You can get a lot of information from there, and that's completely for free. The other stuff I use from a program called On Court, which is a tennis program which you have to pay a subscription for. And that gives me the service points won and return points won totals and all the other stuff. I can dive a little bit deeper into it with that.
Yep. So there you go. There it is. There's the program called On Court, and that's where the majority of Sean's stats, a lot of it is from homework as well, going to the right websites. You've got to put your homework into this if you want to make it successful, and that's why we have Sean on here doing what he does for us, and we're grateful to have him on the show. That's a 7 a.m. start, Dimitrov against Sonego. Like I say, 5 a.m. Eastern Time, Shapovalov on Monfils, and the late match, 1:30, is Sinner against Botic van der Zandschulp. Head across to the Bet Rivers website, 28 to 29 different markets on all those matches, and not only those, all the other matches we have tomorrow. And we start off with the bet as well in the first match, the Ruusuvuori match. Hasn't really helped with the schedule on that one. Ruusuvuori against Humber, giving Humber a little bit of time to recover. And if you haven't bet it, we've actually bet Ruusuvuori, and you might get a better line now. So head across to the Bet Rivers and website and check that out. One match we're going to speak about in Delray Beach, and it's the only Taylor we want to talk about in this show, and that's the main man, Taylor Fritz, number 1 seed, defending champion. But
mate, yours.
Listen, he's asked me for a few selfies now and again. I'll just have to say to him, Taylor, come on, mate. I'm here to work, not to hang around with you guys. But anyway,
nearly knocked me off my feet in Stuttgart last year, running wild. Nearly knocked poor myself over, lock, stock, and barrel.
He's a big old lad. I mean, he could knock you over.
He nearly took me completely out in Stuttgart.
Well, he's in action, and this might not be as easy and straightforward as the odds suggest here. It's a more convenient time for the American viewers because obviously it's a tournament in America. It's in Delray Beach, down in Florida. We mentioned about the weather conditions here, Sean. We said it's going to be quite hot, but it could be blustery, quite windy. Is that the common theme of the opening day?
Yes, a lot of players were complaining about the wind. I said it on Sunday. It is by the beach. It does get blustery. It does get windy. Some players don't like it. Some players use it as an excuse when they get beat. Some players just don't like play. I must admit, I don't like playing in the wind. You know, it is annoying. You know, you're trying to get your shot, and then the next thing you know, the wind's blown the ball about 4 foot further on. It is aggravating. I can see why it annoys certain players, particularly if they've got a high ball toss as well. You know, that gets affected a little bit by the wind. So
I don't like playing with wind, but not with the wind. When I have a bit of a last time I played tennis was when I was about 18. I can't remember. I don't think we had any windy conditions where I played tennis.
Where I live here, it's again, it's by the beach, so it is pretty windy. So it's it can get quite annoying. But some players like it, some players really don't. So I don't know all of them. It changes as well. Generally speaking, the players with good footwork, the nimble ones, the players with a bit more variety in their game, a bit less robotic, if you want to call it that, they tend to be the players that go the best in the wind.
Well, I don't know if Taylor Fritz is going to be used to it. Well, he should be used. He didn't grow up far from here. Come to his tournament as a kid, won the tournament last year. Was very emotional in his speech. He's a defending champion, and he's playing someone in Borges who's come probably at the peak of his career. What he'd done, he's amazing achievement by reaching the round 16 of the Australian Open. He took a set off Medvedev in that round 16 match.
Yeah,
Beat Dimitrov, beat Davidovich, Fokina, Martia. Had a great run, but then he went to the Davis Cup and was embarrassed with his performance there. He bounced back with a win here in qualification. No surprise, Taylor Fritz is the favourite here, minus 420. Borges is plus 310. The spread is 3.5, minus 143 for Fritz, plus 112 for Borges. And the total here is 21.5, which is a little bit low. When you consider Fritz's big serve and in Fritz's matches usually. So there's a contrast of styles. Obviously, you've got the big serve in Fritz and the more sort of the clay quarter style of Borges. Over is minus 134, though, on the line of 21.5, and under is plus 104. There has been money for Fritz in the last few hours since these prices come out. And I'm not surprised, really, because the American bettors like to get with the American men. Fritz is the number one seed, defending champion. It's a tournament where Americans do well. What's your angle of attack here?
if you'd have asked me about this about 2 or 3 months ago, a couple of months ago, I would have said Fritz wins easy. But Borges he's had the transformation of all transformations, really. He's suddenly become a decent operator on a quick hard court, and he was anything but that, the complete opposite of that in his career prior to the Australian Open. He's somebody that I would always want to oppose on hard courts. I think we did oppose him at the start of the season as well, didn't we? Against Kotov, I think we had against him. Kotov, I think it was in Hong Kong. Kotov won pretty easy. Since then, he suddenly found like a new lease of life. But see what Borges has done so far this season on outdoor hard in the main draw. His service points won over 10 points, win total is 100, and he's got a 5-3 win-loss record. Now that's very respectable for a guy who generally has played quite a bit on clay. Was never really anything on the quicker surfaces prior to this season. So for me, when he first played his first main level match up until the start of this year, he was 4-10 win-loss on outdoor hard, and his service points won over 10 points, one total was 96. So he's won more matches this season in 6 weeks than he had in the previous 2 years on hard court. So a huge transformation, and he beat a big serving Diallo last night as well. In months gone by, I would have perhaps fancied Diallo for that. Probably would have done. If he can keep that level going that he showed us in the Australian Open, he could easily take this past the overs mark. I think you mentioned it was over 21.5, didn't you? The line
over 21. It's minus 134 though. The over 21.5. You need to go up to 22.5 to get a bit of plus money. So it's quite low. But Bet Rivers give you the opportunity to move the handicap or the total game. So if we go to 22.5, we get plus 106.
Yeah, I mean, given that this is Fritz's first match, at Delray Beach, he played his last match. I think was in the Ukraine, wasn't it? Or not Ukraine? What am I talking about? It was in Davis Cup. It was against the Ukraine, actually. I don't know where they played it, but he won that, Taylor Fritz. So he's going from Australian Open indoor hard, and now he's going very windy conditions, outdoor hard, quite high bouncing, little on the sort of slowish side, sort of slow, medium, high bouncing, hardcore. It's it's not an easy transformation. I'm sure Fritz will probably win this match, and the guys that have put money on him on the money line, I'm sure they'll probably be successful. But given what we've seen from Borges so far, he's beaten Dimitrov over the best of 5 sets, beat Davidovich for Kina, pretty close with Medvedev as well. Carries on that form. I think the overs, all the handicaps on Borges, they have to be the way to go. Maybe first set, maybe opening set to Borges could be a bigger price.
The over to win the first set for Borges is plus 215, but if you want to go over 10.5 on set number 1, it's plus 210. That might look a big price.
Yeah, the point is that Borges is a completely different animal than he was even 2-3 months ago on hard courts. Completely different.
So that is this going to be an official play or just a lean, or you're not quite?
Yeah, this is I would want a bit bigger price, and if it was over 21.5, I'd probably want about evens or so on that. But there are plenty of options if you want to take Borges.
Yeah, we don't believe this is going to be as easy as the odds suggest there for the number 1 seed and the defending champion Taylor Fritz against the vast improving Nuno Borges. So just the one official pick, Sean, is it over 20.5 games?
Yeah, over 20.5 games, plus 110 with Bet Rivers in the match between Sinner and Van der Zandschulp.
And don't forget that match starts at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So you've got plenty of time to head across to the website to place your wagers. You've also got plenty of time to subscribe to Betting Weekly Studios on YouTube. And also give us a follow on our Twitter and our Instagram account, which share the same handle at Because We Win. There's some great content. The Champions League soccer starts this evening and tomorrow. It's got the European competition's really hot up over here. The Premier League is hotting up. You've got all the other European content as well. And obviously, we've got the tennis, which will be back again tomorrow, looking at all the tennis action as well. And finally, give us a download the podcast. It's Betting Weekly app, Game Bet Match, and it'll be available on all your preferred podcast providers. Sean, have a good day. It's half term, isn't it? Lagan home, is he?
No, that's next week, I think.
Yeah, it's next week. Around here, we've got half term here.
Okay,
kids
no,
are
next
all
week.
The kids off at the moment. Yeah, they're driving everyone mad because it's raining. They can't get out in the outdoors. So that's what I thought. You might have.
Nah, I look too serene for that, don't I? At the minute,
you look. Yeah, I was gonna say you look a lot better. You look sharp. I mean, surely next week we come to you and Lagan's been off for a week. You look exhausted. You'll be all over the place. He's
at football camp on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So
even there Friday as well. Pay for the Friday.
It doesn't operate on the Friday. Otherwise, I would send it there on the Friday. He's going somewhere else on the Friday.
Yeah, exactly. Get it. Get down that. Find out where this package is. I don't know where this package is. I'm worried about that.
Unless you. I don't know. I can't really chase it. I've got.
I don't know. I have to find out what they've done. But no, it was in a nice big bag, all written up. It a little
unless
bag.
Unless they've tried to deliver it and not, but they haven't bothered putting that little slip through the door. Unless they've done that. I mean, I could ring the local sorting office and ask them if they've got anything for me. I suppose
it's a week ago, so it should be there.
No, right, I'll ring it when I finish this.
All right, mate. Listen, thanks very much for your time. Thanks to everyone for watching. Thanks to everyone for subscribing. Any questions you have, like the questions you asked earlier about Sean, where he gets his information from, feel free to drop us a tweet or put a message here underneath the comment box below. We're more than happy to answer any questions. Share your thoughts, who you think will win. If you think you like a bet we're suggesting, we like a bet we think we've missed, let us know what you think. This is a bit of a community. We want to build it up and have a little bit of fun together and hopefully cash some winning tickets. Okay, have a good day and we'll speak to you all again tomorrow. Take care.